And now, a statement from Donald J. Trump, the 45th President of the United States of America. What country will be the primary beneficiary from a billionaire's tax or wealth tax? Where will wealthy people and companies move to, leaving the United States high and dry, 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 high and dry? Most don't need to be in the U.S. anyway. I know all of the very smartly run countries. I know the best countries. I know the smart people, very smartly run countries, and they are all thrilled about what the radical left, capital R, capital L, maniacs are doing in Congress. I just wonder, will I ever be allowed to run for president again if I move to another country? No, I guess I'll just stick it out. I'll just stick it out, okay? I'll stick it out. I'll stick it out, but most others won't. That's the statement. President Donald J. Trump. And you know what? You know what's interesting to me, by the way, is perhaps both from return viewers and also people who are just passing through, it's very interesting and to me very indicative of how U.S. politics works. I don't like to get too much into the minutiae of U.S. politics, but I'm either, to some people, the world's number one Trump supporter, disgusting, vile dreg of the earth, or I am someone who has no respect for Trump. I'm a Trump hater. I have Trump derangement syndrome. I'm a real piece of work. You can't really fall in the middle with a lot of these people in the U.S. But nevertheless, I think that Trump makes some interesting points here. And he's talking about the billionaires tax that was proposed in the U.S., where you have so many politicians, this increasing chorus of politicians who are on board with saying, let's have a billionaires tax, let's have a wealth tax. Now, the interesting thing about the wealth tax, first of all, they don't always get the terms right. The last thing that didn't work in the Congress was they were going to have an unrealized capital gains tax on a certain number of people. And it seemed to me like, from what I recall in civics, like kind of dangerously close to like targeting a few specific people. That's not really a wealth tax. That's an unrealized capital gains tax. It's not necessarily on wealth. I mean, it's a portion of wealth, but it's not even the same thing. Wealth taxes failed all across Europe. Most countries in Europe got rid of them. Most countries in other parts of the world got rid of them. The wealth taxes are largely, they went the way of the dodo. But you have politicians like Elizabeth Warren and Sleepy Joe who want to bring this back because they're so desperate to raise money to pay for the latest round of free stuff. You know, I understand the developed country has a certain amount of services, but like it seems like it's like, is your fetus in preschool yet? We're gonna have. Let me tell you something. I'm for universal fetus care. They're all gonna go together. We're gonna get them started on the right direction from the beginning, raising them to be little government obedient people. That's what I'm for with your tax dollars. And so, you know, Trump makes the point that the Congress wants to keep passing these taxes in an era when there's so much competition. Now, let's be honest, and I will be skewered for this, but there are a number of Trump voters who do not believe there are any other countries in the world. Certainly they understand there are other countries, but insofar as the fact that they would ever move to one, that doesn't exist. They're going to stay and fight. Certainly people on both sides of the aisle believe that, but no doubt there are people who saw Trump as the savior, who was going to solve every problem so that they wouldn't have to leave because none of them really wanted to. At least most of them don't want to. Most people don't want to leave. They just want to stick around and let life wash over them like a tidal wave and hope the next politician will solve their problems. And that doesn't work, obviously. That's why we say go where you're treated best. Because making a choice for the place that already has the lower tax rates or higher personal freedom or better lifestyle or better social opportunities is a lot easier than just hoping your country will change by what happens in the Capitol. But you know, he's very adept in saying that you have other countries that are being smart in the sense of, unlike the United States, where they push away capital investment by saying, oh, you have a dividend? Yeah, we're going to tax that. You don't live in the United States. Well, yeah, you still have to pay. Oh, you invest in our country? Yeah, pay our estate tax, please. But I'm not a citizen. Pay it anyway. You have other countries that don't have capital gains tax on anybody. They don't have dividends tax on anybody. They don't have estate tax on anybody. wait a second, if I'm an investor, why wouldn't I go there to one of the smartly run countries that actually values me? He makes a good point. Why, if you have the choice of a whole buffet of more than 200 different jurisdictions in the world, would you choose to stick in the one where your taxes go through the roof, where they say, oh, it's just against the billionaires? Well, look at all the taxes that started against one group, or that started low, and then eventually they just went up and up and up and up. Or inflation, which is an issue right now. They didn't change the number, and so more and more people qualified every year. You think if they don't impose a wealth tax on someone, they're not going to, start lowering the bar year by year, because they never have enough money. They're not good with money. So eventually, once they get their nose under the tent, they're just going to keep going down and down and down. And so there are a lot of smartly run countries. Now, if you live in the United States and you're committed to live in the United States, you read this and you get angry. I read it and I'm not amused. I'm amused because I enjoy reading things that Trump says and I find him to be amusing. But to me, this is pretty straightforward stuff, in that I chose to leave the United States to go where I was treated best. And so now I don't have to worry about what the radical left, capital R, capital L, is doing, what the maniacs in Congress are doing. I get to watch it and say, oh, thank goodness I made the right decision. And I think you should do the same. I think that lots of people are going to move to other countries. Now, can he move? Remember, first of all, he moved from New York to Florida. And I seem to recall was pretty open about, like, yeah, I'm tired of paying New York taxes. Especially, by the way, because the common media dialogue now is he's not even welcome in New York. He doesn't even go back there. I mean, people in New York City, they don't want to see him by and large. That's at least what the media says. And so, yeah, why would you pay all these ridiculous New York taxes, city and state in the case of New York City, to a place where you don't even maybe feel comfortable? So what if you're from there? So what if you're in your 70s? Go where you're treated best at any age. So he moved to Florida. And I think at one point there was talk about, like, would he go and move over, if he lost to Biden, would he go and live in another country out of shame because he couldn't even beat Biden? Well, he obviously didn't. He lost, and he didn't even do that. But he makes the good point. Could he run for president again if he moved to another country? I've often thought, what if someone who expatriated moved back to the United States, reclaimed their citizenship through naturalization, and said, oh, I'm a natural-born citizen, I'm running for president? Of course no one would vote for them, and of course no one would vote for a guy who even left the country. So he'll stick it out, as he says, but most of the wealthy people won't. And by the way, look at all the guys from his native New York who moved to Puerto Rico. Okay, still part of the U.S., but better tax regime. Look at all the companies he talks about who went where they were treated best, to go to Mexico, to go to China. I know that angers people. And I know people think that people or businesses should have allegiance to a flag. But you know what? Everyone's selfish to a certain extent. Some people who think it's bad to be selfish are actually selfish and jealous because they want your money. And they're jealous they don't have it. And if there's a better opportunity, why wouldn't you take it? He's pointing that out. And so I can tell you from personal experience, a lot of Americans are looking for either a plan B or an exit path, either to leave the country and lower their taxes, have a better lifestyle, have more freedom, or just to cut the cord for good. I can tell you that from personal experience because over the last 2 years, we have seen a tremendous growth in our business. And so for my little microcosm of the world here in the blogosphere and the YouTube sphere, Donald Trump makes a lot of sense. People are going to leave. There will be an increasing brain drain. And some of the numbers you see reported of people who are leaving, I think, are low. The numbers on some of what you see about how many Americans live overseas are low. And certainly the U.S. is not a huge expat country by comparison to some other countries, like maybe the U.K., for example. But you're going to continue to see as tax rates go up, and as people realize they're not getting anything for their money, and as you see the advent of digital nomad visas and remote working and startup visas and grants and tax incentives in other countries and citizenship in exchange for hiring people, you're going to see people say, yeah, that's a better place to go. I am going to leave the United States high and dry. I don't think that anybody, including me, contrary to popular belief, the goal is to leave anyone high and dry. The goal is to go where you're treated best. Donald Trump is cluing into this. More people will do it. That's not good for the U.S., but that shouldn't really concern you. Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalist personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.